Good afternoon. I want to talk about what to eat in low carb or intermittent fasting because every time I talk about low carb in intermittent fasting or fasting, always they ask what will we eat when we do low carb? What will we eat when we do intermittent fasting? If you Google this one, you can read some food that we need to eat on breakfast or lunch or dinner and how many calories. But for me, I want to make it simple so you understand better. If you are starting on low carb or intermittent fasting, I want you to focus on these simple things first because these are actually difficult. I have hard time doing low carb and intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is even easier for me than doing low carb because honestly, I get addicted to this food, this high carb food, and I have hard time giving them up. And sometimes I cheat, but at least now maybe about 50 grams carbs I'm eating. But I'm not into losing weight. I'm on my ideal weight. But if you are really want to lose weight, you have to lessen more your carb into 20 grams. But first, let's simplify. First thing, we have to focus on what you need to avoid. Okay, instead of what to eat, let's focus first on what you need to avoid. First thing you need to avoid is all the ultra-processed food or refined foods. Focus on real foods, whole foods. Okay, so that's one thing you need to do because processed food, refined foods, they are not only high in carb but inflammatory foods. So we have to avoid them. So cut all those ultra-processed food, bread, pasta, those snacks. Focus on real food. If you want snacks, nuts, like that, real food. If you want real food, meat, fish, vegetables, especially those three. Meat, fish, vegetables. Of course, preferably we have to focus on organic vegetables or grass-fed, grass-finished meat. Second, avoid all the seed oils. Canola oil, vegetable oil, sunflower oils, and other seed oils. Focus on extra virgin olive oil and coconut oil, MCT oil, and some other oils that are healthy. Don't believe on those vegetable oil. They are highly processed. They are harmful to health. They cause inflammation to our body. So avoid those oils. And third, avoid high carbohydrate foods, whether they are real whole foods or processed food. Why? Because high carbs spike our insulin. This is our main problem, insulin. One way to find that out is all the foods that high in glycemic index. Avoid rice, bread, pasta, cereal, potatoes, also fruits, There are fruits that is good for us. Of course, fruits are nutritious for us. But what happens is, let's say for example, banana, apple, there are a lot of vitamins and minerals in them, potassium, magnesium, like that. But they're also high in glycemic index. It spikes your insulin. Not really spikes your insulin, but because of the fructose. That doesn't spike your insulin, but fructose is only metabolized by your liver. So it's no good. So if you really want to lose weight or to be healthy, or if you're diabetic, hypertension, like that, your goal is to lower your insulin. Okay, these foods spikes your insulin. It's no good for you. Okay, of course, if you're taking medication, you have to consult your doctor. And also when you're doing fasting, for me, before I do 1 day fasting, 2 days, 3 days, or intermittent fasting, I still eat rice, I still eat ice cream, and some other foods, fruits. But it's better than nothing, Whether you still eat those, still there's a great effect of doing fasting or intermittent fasting. But the best is to avoid them because our body cannot adjust. Our goal in low carb is to shift from sugar burning to fat burning. Okay, so even though we fast, even we do intermittent fasting, but still we eat those high carb food, still we cannot shift from sugar burning to fat burning. we need to train our body to burn fats instead of sugar or glucose. So it takes some time, maybe 2-3 weeks like that, if you discipline yourself. Of course, first and foremost is focus on eating real food. If you cannot avoid still those carbs, even though they are real food, at least focus on real food. And then little by little, you start avoiding those high carb foods. But first, those two things, processed food and those seed oils. Okay, just eat real food. And the third, if you can, then focus taking out all those high carb food, even though they are real food, like fruits, rice, potatoes, apple, all those root crops, sweet potato, something like that. Of course, they are nutritious, but because they are high in carb, the limitation of our bodies can take about 80 milligrams per deciliter of sugar, which is equivalent to 1 table sugar. If you eat 1 cup of rice, that's already 10 teaspoons of sugar. That's a lot. For me, actually, I eat 2 cups, before. I eat in the morning, I eat in lunch, and I eat on dinner. Rice is really important for me. That's why I have hard time giving up rice. But finally, I was able to give it up. Okay? It takes discipline. So, it's not so much about food. It's mostly about addiction. We're actually addicted to food. That's why it's so hard to give up. So hard to give up. That's why for me, it's even easier for me to go for 3 days fasting than giving up those foods. I was able to go for 3 days, 4 days, even 6 days. But it's more hard for me to give up those bread and rice. It's easier to fast than to give those up. But finally, I was able to give them up. I don't eat them anymore. Wherever you are in the world, focus on real whole foods that is available in your area. If you are nearby the sea, of course, mostly focus on seafoods. If you're in the mountainous area, focus on foods that are available there. That's it. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope this helps. See you in my next video.
Here's a list of food that you can eat and you can avoid that I got from Dr. Jocelyn Rojo. Anyway, I'll put this in the description link. So, if possible, focus only on the safe list and limit your consumption on the caution list if you have hard time avoiding them. But if possible, avoid those danger lists.